Hello, Namaskar, Vanakkam. Now we are going to get into Act 5 of Julius Caesar, the concluding act. The more important acts and scenes from the point of view of the examination, I would say, are Act 3 and Act 4, because much of the drama in terms of the confrontation, in terms of Caesar's assassination, the confrontation between Brutus and Cassius, the dialogue between Octavius Caesar and Antony, etc., takes place in the scenes in Act 3 and Act 4. Now, इसका मतलब ये नहीं है that Act 5 is absolutely unimportant, because basically the battle scenes are the ones which take place in Act 5, in the 5 scenes of Act 5. Why it is important is because it also kind of brings the entire conflict, the political conflict, to a closure. So that's important. Point number 2, the character of Brutus. That's pretty much important, and even to an extent Cassius. These are the two important characters in my view as far as the scenes in Act 5 are concerned, because what happens to them, not so much Antony and Octavius Caesar, but what happens to Brutus and Cassius is extremely important. You know, what happens at the end to the two, pretty much one of the main characters as far as the play is concerned. So look at this. Also, specifically note down the finer details, the smaller details from the MCQ point of view. That is something which I would say Act 5 से MCQs आने के chances रहेंगे, because that's what I think this scene is in with a lot of details, and that could be asked in the MCQ format. Okay, so now let's get to the video. In this video, we will do both scene 1 and scene 2. Scene 2 is a very tiny scene, almost like 2 minute ka scene hai. Okay, so we will do scene 1 and scene 2 in this particular explanation video. Act 5, Scene 1, the plains of Philippi. Now that's where the battle is being fought as far as this play is concerned. On one side are Octavius Caesar and Antony and their armies, and on the other side are Brutus and Cassius and their army. So this scene starts with Octavius, Antony and their army. Octavius says, "Now, Antony, our hopes are answered. You said the enemy would not come down, but keep the hills and upper regions. It proves not so." So Octavius Caesar is challenging what Mark Antony had told him earlier, right? So he says that, Antony, our hopes have been fulfilled. Our hopes have been fulfilled. As always, there will be word by word, line by line explanation of this particular scene. You said the enemy would not come down. That you had said, Antony, you had said that the enemy would not come down, but keep to the hills. That is, they would not come down from the hills. They would occupy the hills only, and the upper ground, upper regions, means that the upper ground, that's what they would occupy. Okay, as a strategist, that's what you had predicted. However, that is not the case. It appears that's not the case, which means your prediction has not proven correct. Now, this is an important point, because basically, one, he's challenging Mark Antony's abilities as a military strategist. Please note this down. He's challenging Mark Antony's credentials as a military strategist, that what you predicted has not quite happened. Okay. He says their battles are at hand, which means battles as in their armies are nearby. Are at hand means they are nearby. They mean to warn us at Philippi here, answering before we do demand of them. They mean means they intend, कि वो उनका इरादा ये है, they intend to warn us. Warn us means confront. They intend to confront us here at Philippi, answering before. Answering matlab attacking us before we attack them. Before we do demand of them means before we attack them. So they would be doing the first strike on us. They are not on the upper reaches. They are here very close by. Antony says, "Tut, I am in their bosoms, and I know wherefore they do it." So he says, "No, I know how they think. I am in their bosoms" means I know their mind. So
you see, the scene starts with a bit of a verbal confrontation or an altercation between Antony and Octavius Caesar. So he says, no, I know what they think and I understand why they are doing that. And I know wherefore they do it. I understand why they are doing this. They could be content to visit other places. They would, he says, they would much rather be somewhere else. If they wished, they actually would be somewhere else. They would not want to be here at all and come down with fearful bravery, but they want to descend on us with a brave appearance. They want to appear brave. He says that actually they are not brave, but they want to appear to be brave. Okay. Hiding their fear. Fearful bravery means hiding their fear. They want to hide their fear. They want to hide their fear, thinking by this face to fasten in our thoughts that they have courage. They want to deceive us. They want to make us think that they are actually very courageous, that they have courage. They want to look very fierce, but it is not so. So ये कहने का मतलब ये है that he saying that वो सिर्फ दिखावा कर रहे हैं. They are just wearing a mask of appearing courageous. At that point in time, a messenger enters. Messenger says, prepare you generals, the enemy comes on in gallant show. So he says, prepare yourself generals because the enemy is approaching us with a great display. Gallant show means with a lot of military might. With a lot of military show. Okay. Their bloody sign of battle is hung out. They show their red flag. The bloody sign of battle means the flag which indicates that they are ready for battle. So this is the red flag of the battle. And something must be done immediately. Antony says, Octavius, lead your battles softly on upon the left hand of the even field. So Mark Antony, see, he immediately instructs first. So it's almost like Mark Antony is taking the position that I am the senior of the two. Obviously, he's older to him in age. So he says, lead your forces slowly to the left side. Softly on means slowly. Okay. Softly on means slowly. Onto the left side of the even field means which is of a flat level. You know, koi upar niche nahi hai, it's a flat level field. Octavius says, no, I will go on the right side. You keep to the left. So Octavius Caesar is disobeying him. He is saying that, no, I will go on to the right side. You go to the left. So Antony obviously is not amused. So he says, why are you crossing me? Means, why are you defying me? Why are you defying me? So he's proving to be defiant. So he says, why are you defying me? But in this critical moment, in this urgent matter, exigent means in this urgent matter, when I am telling you what to do, why are you defying me? Octavius says, I do not cross you, but I will do so. He says, I'm not defying you, but this is what I will do. So basically, he says that, I'm not choosing to use the word defiance, but this is precisely what I will do, that I will go onto this side, onto the right side, while you should go onto the left side. They hear the sound of drums, the march, the drums, Brutus, Cassius, and their army enters, and Lucilius, Titus, and Messala, others also enter. I've increased the font size so that it will be easy for you to read. Okay. In any case, you would be having your books. And now, Brutus says they stand and would have parley. So Brutus says they have stopped. They want to have a conversation. Parley means they want to have a conversation. Now, this is the other side of the battlefield. The other side. Brutus and Cassius. Cassius says, stand fast, Titus. We must out and talk. So Cassius says, stay here, Titus. We must go and talk to them. Octavius says, Mark Antony, shall we give the sign of battle? Now, this side, Octavius says, shall we kind of give the signal to attack? Antony says, no, Caesar, we will answer on their charge. We will attack only when they do. Answer on their charges, we will attack when they attack us. Make forth, the generals would have some words. Go forward, the generals want to speak to us. Octavius says, stir not until the signal. So Octavius tells to his army, now this is to the soldiers, okay, that do not move till you get the signal to move. Brutus says, words before blows, is it so, countrymen? So Brutus says, words before fighting, is that how it is, countrymen? Octavius, countrymen is significant because after all, they all belong to the same country. Octavius says, not that we love words better as you do. So Octavius says, not that we prefer. It's not as if we prefer words to fighting like you do. Like he's saying, Brutus, you are a man of words. You are not a man of the battlefield. We are men of the battlefield. So, we don't love words like you do. Brutus says, and it's very ironic that they are using words to say that, oh, you are the one who loves words. Brutus says, good words are better than bad strokes, Octavius. So he says, good words are better than worthless fighting. Bad strokes means fighting which is of no use. Worthless fighting, Octavius. Antony says, in your bad stroke, Brutus, you give good words. Witness the hole you made in Caesar's heart, crying, long live, hail Caesar. So Mark Antony is reminding him of what happened on the 15th of March. So he says, Brutus, along with your treacherous and evil strokes. Bad strokes means evil strokes, right? Worthless strokes. Along with your, so he's using it in a different sense in the context of what happened on the Ides of March. So he says, along with your treacherous and evil strokes. So please realize that how he's using it. He's using in terms of bad strokes. He's using it in terms of treacherous strokes, which are evil. Brutus, you give good words. You speak well. Okay. Witness the hole you made in Caesar's heart while you cried, long live Caesar, hail Caesar. Cassius says, Antony, the posture of your blows are yet unknown. So Cassius intervenes. He says, Antony, the way you posture means the way you strike. The way you strike, no, the way you will fight is still unknown. We don't know how good you are on the battlefield, but your words are so sweet. They rob the Hybla bees and leave them honeyless. So he says that your words are so sweet. Please remember this for the comparison, the metaphor that has been used. He says your words from an MCQ and a reasoning point of view. From an MCQ point of view, sorry. He says your words are so sweet, it can come even as a 2-mark question. If your words are so sweet that they steal, rob means they steal the honey from the Hybla bees and leave them without honey. Okay, what is the Hybla bees? Now the bees of Mount Hybla. Mount Hybla in Sicily. It is a mountain in Sicily, but famous for their honey. And Cassius is referring to the honey in Antony's speech at the funeral, the way he manipulated the people of Rome. So he's reminding him of that your words are so sweet that they take away the honey from the honeybees of Mount Hybla in Sicily. So that's what they do. So Antony says, not stingless too. So he says, I took the sting of the bees also, didn't I? Right? So he says, I did, I even took away the sting of the bees. Brutus says, oh yes, and soundless too, for you have stolen their buzzing, Antony. So he says, yes, and their sounds too. He says, you took away the honey. Antony says, I took away their sting also. Brutus says, you took away their sound also because you stole their buzzing. So now when their sound is not coming, you have stolen their buzzing also, Antony, for you have stolen their buzzing, Antony, and very wisely thread before you sting. So he says, and you very wisely warn us before you sting. Antony says, villains, you did not so wind your wild daggers. So they're kind of engaging in a verbal altercation, a verbal clash right now, a clash of words. So he says, villains, you did not do so. Now, villains is a keyword that you can use in the context of this particular scene. He says, you did not do so when your evil daggers, when your evil daggers clashed while hacking away the sides of Caesar. They kind of struck with each other while they were in competition to take away the sides of Caesar. You showed your teeth like apes. You smiled like apes. So he's making a very unflattering comparison that you smiled like apes and fawned like hounds. Fawned means, you almost like, were eagerly battling with each other to strike at Caesar's wounds at body, and bowed like bondmen and bowed like servants. Bondmen means servants. Sorry. this is the past that he's showing, saying that, when Caesar was there, you used to show your teeth like apes. You used to kind of, be at him like dogs would kind of jump in order to kiss and lick the person they love, and be like servants to the board like servants, kissing Caesar's feet. Then damned Casca. At that time, damned Casca, I mean, he's kind of abusing him, like a dog from behind struck Caesar on the neck. Oh, you flatterer. So this is what you would do. This is what you did that day, till the moment when Casca, like a dog, came from behind and struck Caesar on the neck. Oh, you flatterers. Cassius says, flatterers? Now, Brutus, thank yourself. This tongue had not offended so today if Cassius might have ruled. So he says, flatterers, and he turns to Brutus and reminds him of his advice on the 15th of March. Says that, Brutus, you have only yourself to thank. Thank yourself, because Antony would not have been alive to offend us with these kind of sharp words today, if only you had listened to what Cassius had to say and advise on that particular day. Because Cassius had said that, इस पे विश्वास मत करो, इसको allow मत करो in order to speak. So, but Brutus had overruled Cassius on that particular day. Octavius says, come, the cause, if arguing make us sweat, the proof of it will turn to redder drops. So he says, come, let's get to the point. If arguing makes us sweat, the proof of it will turn to redder drops. The trial in battle, that is the proof, is the trial in battle. That is what will happen on the battlefield, will produce blood. Redder drops means will produce blood, will shed blood. किसी ना किसी का तो blood निकलेगा. Look, I draw a sword against conspirators. Look, I'm drawing my sword against the conspirators. When think you that the sword goes up again? When do you think the sword will be put back again? Okay. Never till Caesar's 3 and 30 wounds be well avenged. Never till Caesar's 33 wounds. 3 and 30 is 33. That there were 33 wounds on his body, till his 33 wounds are avenged, or until another Caesar have added slaughter to the sword of traitors, or until another Caesar, referring to himself, Octavius Caesar is referring to himself, has been added to the slaughter of the swords of traitors, means that he has also been killed by traitors. Till such thing happens, this sword will not go in again. Till such time that either Caesar's 33 wounds have been avenged, that means I have killed all of you, or another Caesar, that is myself, has been also killed by traitors' swords, by the swords of traitors. This passage is important, just like earlier Mark Antony's passage was important. Wo villains wala. Caesar, thou canst die by traitors' hands unless thou bringest them with me. So, they are ek tarah se, they are engaging in an unnecessary war of words. So he says, Brutus says, you cannot die at the hands of traitors unless you have brought traitors with them. Basically, he's objecting to being called traitors. Brutus does not like the sound of being called a traitor by Octavius Caesar. So he says, unless you have brought traitors with you, you cannot die at the hands of traitors. Octavius says, so I hope I was not born to die on Brutus's sword. So he says, well, I hope you are right, because I was not born to die on Brutus. So he's saying, you are a traitor, and I know that your sword cannot kill me. So it will not happen that I will die at the hands of a traitor. So he's once again insisting that you are the person I refer to as a traitor. Brutus says, oh, if thou wert the noblest of thy strain, young man, thou couldst die more honorable. So he says, if you were the noblest in your family, assuming that you were the most noble person in your family, you could not have died more honorably. This would be the best death that could possibly happen to you, young man. Cassius says, a peevish schoolboy, worthless of such honor, joined with a masker and a reveler. So Cassius is now insulting both Octavius Caesar and Mark Antony. How is he doing that? So he says, a peevish schoolboy. Peevish means an irritating, immature schoolboy. Please write it down. An irritating, immature schoolboy who is unworthy of such honor. कि उसकी हैसियत नहीं है इस बैटलफील्ड में हमारा मुकाबला करने की, इस सेना को लीड करने की. Okay, he is unworthy of such an honor. And joined means he is partnered by. Who is he partnered by? By a masker. Masker means someone who basically indulges in masquerades, and he's a party man, party person. Reveler means he's a party person. Pehle hi we know that Antony likes to party a lot. He generally likes to have fun in life. Antony says, old Cassius, still. So he says, still the same old Cassius. Tum wahi तीखी चुभने वाली बात ही करोगे. Petty talk only you will do. There are some people, जो अपना स्टैंडर्ड कभी नहीं बढ़ाते हैं, वो हमेशा उसी तरह की ओछी बात करते हैं. They talk in a very petty kind of manner. What was the word? Somebody had put a message which I was very amused by. There, there was a message on one of my comment on one of my videos. I think it was I forget which video it was. It said, "You are illiterate." Now, obviously the person who wrote this does not know the meaning of literacy, who is literate and who is illiterate. Even a person who has studied ABCD, knows to sign his or her name, knows to form a few sentences in whichever language, is considered a literate person. So by that standard, by that yardstick, I'm definitely a very literate person. And the kind of stuff that I have studied academically, professionally, makes me quite an educated guy. So I'm just very amused at the kind of words people use without actually thinking of their meaning. Anyway, just reminded me of that. क्या हो गया, कहाँ थे हम? Yeah, Octavius says, "Come, Antony, away." He's taking away Antony. "Defines traitors, hurl we in your teeth." So he says, "Come, Antony, let's go. Traitors, we defy you in your teeth." Teeth means the faces, that we are going to defy you, looking at you straight, so close in your faces. Okay, if you dare fight today, come to the field. That if you dare, if you are brave enough to fight with us today, come to the battlefield. If not, when you have stomachs. If you don't have, come when you have the courage. Stomachs is reference to courage. When you have the courage. And Octavius sees Antony and their army quits. So now you have Cassius, Brutus, and the rest. Cassius says, "Why not blow wind, smell below, and swim bar? The storm is up and all is on the hazard." So he says, let the wind blow. Okay, let the wind blow. The waves swell. Okay, the waves swell and swim bark. May the ship float. Okay, the storm is up. The storm has begun and everything is at stake. Our pride, our courage, everything is at stake. We need to give in everything. Brutus says, "Oh, Lucilius, hark a word with you." "Oh, Lucilius, let me have a word with you. I like to have a word with you." Lucilius says, "Yes, my lord." So Brutus and Lucilius speak separately. Cassius say, and then Cassius indulges in a conversation with Messala. Cassius calls to Messala. Messala says, "What says my general? What is it, my general?" Cassius says, "Messala, this is my birthday as this very day. That today is actually my birthday. Okay, as this is the day when Cassius was born. Give me thy hand, Messala. Be thou my witness that against my will, as Pompey was, am I compelled to set upon one battle all our liberties." This is an important passage. Why? Because he says, "Be my witness that against my will," just like Pompey was, "I am forced to put at stake all our liberties," means freedom, "on one battle." That is, against my will. This is not something which I wanted, but just like Pompey, I am kind of forced to put all our freedom. Stake means it is at stake. All our freedom on one battle. If we win this battle, we are going to be free. If we don't win this battle, we are going to be either killed in battle or will be their slaves. He says, "You know that I held Epicurus strong and his opinion." So he says, "You know that I used to believe in Epicurus and his teachings." Hold Epicurus strong means I used to believe in his teachings. Now I have changed my mind and partly credit things that do presage. So he says, now I have changed my mind and I partly believe in signs that foretell the future. Presage means predict, or foretell, predict the future. So he says, I was a believer of Epicurus, but now I've changed my mind and I now believe in signs that give you an indication of what the future would be. And for instance, I'm just saying, and I don't believe in superstition. Kali billi rasta kaat gayi. Okay, so something bad is going to happen to you. My philosophy has always been the black cat also has to cross the road. Now it can't keep thinking ki, Arey, oh, he's coming. Let me not cross the road now because if I cross, something bad will happen to him. The black cat also has to cross the road now, otherwise it can't keep stationary in one place. So don't believe in these kind of silly superstitions. So Epicurus was a Greek philosopher who did not believe in the afterlife. Okay, आफ्टरलाइफ के बारे में मैंने कुछ दिनों पहले एक विक्रम सेठ का एक इंटरेस्टिंग कोट डाला था, that I did not believe in afterlife. He was at a book reading session of his latest book in Delhi. So I don't believe in afterlife, but I started believing it in my last birth. Something like that. No, just wry wit and humor. So, so he says that coming from Sardis, on our former ensign to mighty eagles fell. So he's now recounting, this particular passage is important, I repeat. He's recounting certain indications which took place, which seem to suggest that something bad is going to happen to them. What is it? So he says, as we traveled from Sardis, which is the name of a place, two mighty eagles landed and perched on our flag, front flag. The former ensign means the front flag. Okay, two mighty eagles came and perched themselves. There they perched, gorging and feeding from our soldiers' hands. And they ate from the hands of our soldiers who marched with us. You know, consorted with us means who marched along with us, you know, who were part of our army to Philippi. This morning they flew away, and in their place, you know, this morning the two mighty eagles flew away, and in their place, ravens, crows. Ravens are a kind of a crow, slightly different in size. Crows and kites are flying over our heads and looking down, because that's like, they are like scavengers, you know, they're looking down on us as if we are their prey, about to die. You know, we are like people who are about to die, and then they will feed on our dead or injured bodies, you know. So it's an indication that something negative is about to happen. So he's now, so if you get this passage, ensure that you're also linking it and bringing out the Epicurus point, that he's now believing in these kind of signs, even though he was a kind of person who would believe in Epicurus before. Their shadows seem a canopy most fatal, under which our army lies ready to give up the ghost. So their shadows, when they are flying above, their shadows which are falling on the ground, they are almost like a deadly canopy. Most fatal means they are like a deadly canopy. You know what is a canopy, right? A canopy is almost like a tent, you know. You put a tent, uska shadow aata hai niche. So there are almost forming something of a deadly canopy, under which we are there, under which our army lies, ready to give up the ghost, means ready to die, you know, as though we are ready to die. Mesala says, don't believe this. He says, don't believe all this. Cassius says, I but believe it partly. He says, I only partly believe it because I am full of spirit, means I am fresh of spirit, means I'm very enthusiastic and determined. Resolve means determined to meet all perils very constantly. That I will meet all the dangers constantly, means with fortitude, with a lot of courage, without hesitation. You know, without hesitation. Very constantly means without any kind of hesitation or any kind of flinching. Okay, with courage, with fortitude. Brutus says, even so, he says, right, Lucius. So they have finished the conversation and they have come out. Cassius says, now most noble Brutus, the gods today stand friendly, that we may lovers in peace feed on our days to age. So he says, now most Brutus and noble Brutus, the gods today, the gods are friendly with us today, so that we who love peace can live on to old age. You know, that the gods are in love with us, that we will actually live on till old age. But since the affairs of men rest still uncertain, let us reason with the worst that may befall. But however, since the affairs of men, what will happen on the battlefield is not certain. Let us think about. Reason with means let us think about. Let us think about the worst that may happen. Befall means the worst that may. One minute. बहकी बहकी चले है पवन जो उड़े है तेरा आंचल छोड़ो छोड़ो काले 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 देखो देखो गोरे गोरे काले काले बादल कभी कुछ कहती है कभी कुछ कहती है जरा नजर को संभालना हाँ हाँ हाल कैसा है जनाब का क्या ख्याल है आपका यूं तो मचल गए हो हो यूं ही फिसल गए हा 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 just a de-stressor. If we do lose this battle, then is this the very last time we shall speak together? What are you then determined to do? So he says, if we lose this battle, then this will be the last time we shall be speaking to each other. What do you plan to do if we lose? Okay, if we lose, what do you plan to do? Brutus says, even by the rule of that philosophy, by which I did blame Cato for the death which he did give himself, that is, Cato who died by suicide. So he says, by the same, philosophy which considers suicide to be a sign of cowardice, कि डरपोक लोग ही आत्महत्या करते हैं. So by the same philosophy, because of which I condemned, I kind of criticized, blamed Cato for killing himself. I know not how, but I do find it cowardly and vile for fear of what might fall, so to prevent the time of life. So he says, I plan to be patient and stay on the providence of some high powers that govern us below. So he says that I plan to be patient and submit to what gods have decided for us. I don't know why, but I find it very cowardly and evil to kill oneself early in order to prevent possible suffering later on. यानी कि बाद में suffering होगी ये सोच के अपने आप को पहले मारना, I find it a little डरपोक वाला बात, cowardly and evil. Okay, so Cassius says, so I will let the gods decide what they have decided. I plan to be patient and I will submit to whatever the gods have decided for us. Cassius says, then if we lose this battle, you are contented to be led in triumph through the streets of Rome. So Cassius says that if we lose this battle, so now you realize that Cassius has in mind what Cato also did. Okay, so Cassius says, then if we lose this battle, you'll be willing to be led in chains and as a captive through the streets of Rome. Are you willing to be subjected to that humiliation and treatment? Brutus says, no, Cassius, no. Think not thou, noble Roman, that ever Brutus will go bound to Rome. He'd never even think that Brutus will go in chains through the streets of Rome in chains. He says, he bears too great a mind, that my mind is too great for that. He's speaking in third person about himself. But this someday must end that work the Ides of March. But he says, but today the work that began on the 15th of March must end today. And whether we shall meet again, I know not. I don't know whether we will meet again. And therefore our everlasting farewell, take forever and forever farewell, Cassius. So therefore accept my everlasting farewell. If we do meet again, why? We shall smile. If we meet again, then we will smile. But if we do not meet, then why? Then this parting was well made. Then this parting was well done. Cassius says forever and forever farewell. So both of them say farewell to each other. But if we do meet again, we will smile indeed. If not, it is true that this parting was well made. So he's repeating what Brutus just now said. Brutus says, why then lead on? Oh, that a man might know the end of this day's business before it come. But it sufficeth that the day will end, and then the end is known. Come, ho away. So Brutus says, oh, well, lead on. Oh, I wish I could know what would happen today before it happens. I wish I knew what will happen by the end of this day, but it is enough to know that this day will end and then the end will be known. So he's saying that in any case, in a matter of a few hours, we will know what will happen at the end of the day, because the day will also come to an end. So let's go away, and all of them exit this particular scene. Scene 2 is a very short scene. We will do it in the same video. So the field of battle. Brutus and Messala enter. Brutus is the same. They are in the battlefield. Ride, Messala, ride, and give these orders. Bills means give these orders to the soldiers on the other side who are being commanded by Cassius. Okay, so to the soldiers on the other side. So other side is Cassius. So he says, give these orders. So there is a lot of alarm, and he says, let them set on at once, for I perceive but cold demeanor in Octavius's wing. So he says, let them attack at once. That's the order that must be communicated, conveyed to the side which is being led by Cassius. So he says, let them attack at once. I can see that Octavius's wing, the soldiers who are being led by Octavius Caesar, are showing lack of fighting spirit. Cold demeanor means lack of fighting spirit. You know that unme ladne ka jazba nahi dikh raha hai. A sudden push can defeat them. If you push suddenly, it can defeat them. Gives them the overthrow means it can defeat them. Right, Masala, let them all come down. So he says, let them all come down, go and give the order. So with this, we come to the end of Act 5, Scene 1 and Scene 2. I hope the detailed explanation has been of use. You have taken down the notes. If you revise it a couple of times, you will be quite comfortable, not very complicated, except those 3-4 passages that I've highlighted, which are important from a reference to context point of view, also from the point of view of MCQs. For example, who is the person who died by suicide, who is referred to in Act 5, Scene 1, right? So those kind of smaller, finer details are the kind where the examiner can test you with. Okay, so now I will see you in Act 5, Scene 3. Okay, tata, bye.